Hello everyone, welcome back to another haul video. Today we're going to be taking a look at all of the stuff that I got in August and September of 2021, and I am surrounded literally by stacks of stuff here that I got in both of those months, and I didn't realize how much stuff I got until you start lining them all up for these types of videos. But for those of you who have not seen these videos before, this is just a video of all the things that I get in a specific month or 2 months or whatever type of time frame. This just happens to be August and September of 2021. So for those of you in the future, welcome back to the past, I guess. Without further ado, let's get into a lot of these things that I got, and they're going to be in no particular order here. So first up, let me just grab what I have here on my right, and this is the Errol Flynn and Olivia de Havilland film directed by Michael Curtiz in Dodge City. And this is a film that has been in my Amazon wish list or to-buy cart for a very long time. I want to say since 2014, 2015. This is a back catalog title from Warner Brothers. Before they really started kicking into high gear with their Warner Archive label and putting out all of their back catalog stuff on there, they were putting them out in their main line, and Dodge City was one of them. And with Olivia de Havilland's recent passing, I wanted to get more of her films. That's why I got this. And then next up is a Blu-ray to 4K UHD upgrade, and this is Rear Window, starring Jimmy Stewart as well as Grace Kelly, and this is just one of the all-time great films. This looks absolutely astonishing in this new format. These films, specifically Hitchcock's films, needed upgrades. Their Blu-rays, when they came out, were a bit underwhelming, and they've been just kind of getting worse as time has gone on when it comes to the, back catalog game when it comes to Blu-rays. And I'm just really glad that they went back to the well and put these out. And going from Rear Window, I now go to Vertigo, also starring the great Jimmy Stewart. This stars, of course, Kim Novak. This is, yet again, another all-time film. This may be one of the greatest all-time films for many people, including myself. And they also released Psycho as well as The Birds. They released them in a box set together initially, and then they released them individually. I decided to go with the individual releases. I wasn't a big fan of the way the box was constructed. You can still get the box set as of this recording, and you may be able to get all of them cheaper in that box set versus buying them individually, depending on if you find them on sale. So I do have Psycho, but it will be in October's video, which will be the next video after this one at some point. Staying in the back catalog game is a film by Leo McCarey, and this is An Affair to Remember, starring Cary Grant and Deborah Kerr. I absolutely adore Cary Grant. I'm trying to buy all of the Cary Grant films I can on Blu-ray or 4K UHD, whichever I can find, of course. Many of them are going to be upgrades from DVDs past. This was a film that was also in my Amazon wish list or to-buy area of the Amazon cart for a very, very long time. This is the Digibook edition. This is kind of out of print. You can still find it, of course, online. This is one of the thinner Digibooks that 20th Century Fox was putting out, I don't know, early 2010s or so, and I always kind of wanted it in this version. You can get this in just a regular Blu-ray case. You can probably find that much easier than you can find this, but I kind of like this. Next up is an imprint release, and this is of the Gus Van Sant film Drugstore Cowboy. This is a film that I've had on DVD for many, many years, so this is an upgrade, and this is an underseen, underrated Gus Van Sant film, in my opinion. This stars Matt Dillon in an early role from him. This is a really great film. Just a really fantastic film. I'm so glad that it finally came out on Blu-ray from somewhere. Imprint, or Via Vision, as their parent company is called, is an Australian company, but their releases are region-free. So you can play them here in the United States in your Region A player, and it'll work no problem. So that's really great, because they're putting out a lot of stuff there that we haven't got on Blu-ray here yet, such as Drugstore Cowboy. Next up is a 4K UHD release of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Many of you probably know the long long history of this film coming to fruition and all the different campaigns and this and that and everything. Well, it finally came out on HBO Max in a finished form that is 4 hours long, and it's something that I enjoyed very, very much, so I decided to get it, of course, in the 4K UHD format, and it does look amazing. It's going to look amazing in your home theater setup. What I think of the film, or you may think of the film, may be different, but whatever it may be, I'm just glad that I have this in my collection. And next up here is another film that I'm glad got a Blu-ray release at all, and this is Dementia 13, the director's cut. This is an early Francis Ford Coppola film from the 60s. This was a film that's been kicking around public domain DVD sets for a very long time, or just kind of lower grade DVD sets for a very long time. I believe it's a Roger Corman film that Coppola made at the time, and it's really cool. I really dig it, and this is part of the Vestron Video Collector series, and this is kind of a sub-label of Lionsgate. So Lionsgate puts this out. They put out a bunch of these releases. I've got a couple of them in my collection, and I know people collect all of them, just kind of like in a series, and they look really good on the shelf together. And then next is an Arrow Blu-ray box set, and this is Alejandro Yorowski's box set, and this has Fando Elise, El Topo, The Holy Mountain, Psycho Magic, A Healing Art, and this is the first of any Alejandro Jodorowsky films that I have in my collection. I had just never bought any of his other films, and I kind of wanted more Jodorowsky. I know El Topo and The Holy Mountain have been released on Blu-ray twice already, and I think both of those have now gone out of print, so this was the way I could get it. This is put out by Arrow Video, and in the United States, there was a counterpart Blu-ray box set that was very, very, very close and similar when it came to special features, and I think they even look the same aesthetically, and it was put out by Abco. But I got the Arrow release, and it plays in my Region A player. So for those of you who are looking to get this set and were deciding whether you wanted the Abco release or the Arrow UK release, they both seem to work here in the United States. So that was a plus. So, diving into another stack of movies, here is a 20th Century Fox Studio Classics release. And these were a bunch of films that were released through this kind of back catalog 20th Century Fox line. I would highly recommend buying these as soon as you possibly can, because we don't know what's going to happen with 20th Century Fox's back catalog since they've been bought by Disney. They may just disappear and go away. I know a lot of these are starting to go out of print, but this is the film A Letter to Three Wives, starring Jean Crane, Linda Darnell, and Ann Sothern, and this is directed by Joseph L. Mankiewicz, who's a director whom I've have many of his films in my collection of. So I decided to get this because I found it for a very decent price, and I just want to get all of these 20th Century Fox Studio Classics films. And next up is the Best Picture winner for 2020, and that is Nomad Land, directed by Chloe Zhao. This is an astonishing film. This was my favorite film of 2020, and I was so glad to finally get this on Blu-ray so I can rewatch it as many times as I want. And this, of course, stars Frances McDormand, who I believe also won the Oscar for her performance as well. And yeah, it's a great film. Not much in the way of special features, unfortunately, but it's just nice to have the movie. And next is an Indicator release, and this is the limited edition release of Fat City, a film directed by John Huston. And I got this because this is actually, I believe, out of print now, so I was able to find it on eBay, of all places. This film stars Stacy Keach, Jeff Bridges, and it's a really good film. It's an underrated film. Probably not a lot of people know about it, but I really enjoy it a lot. And I really love this edition. It's a dual format edition. It comes with a plethora of special features, as many of Indicator's releases do. I'm a big fan of Indicator now. They have been chugging out amazing release after amazing release. But next up is a film called Matinee that is directed by Joe Dante, and this is put out by Shout Factory, part of their Shout Select line. I believe this is number 37 of their Shout Select line, which is upwards of super high now. I can't even tell you how high they've gotten, but I wanted to get this because recently I had gotten the Indicator box set of the William Castle Volume 1 and Volume 2, and John Goodman in this film is playing essentially a fictionalized version of William Castle, so I thought that was really, really cool. Next is a really gorgeous, a 4K UHD limited edition of Django, and this is an amazing release, just an astounding amount of special features. The movie looks incredible, and there's just so much to go into when it comes to this set. All I will say is this came out earlier, and there was a little bit of issue with the rights to this film here, with Arrow and some other company and whatnot, and this actually was initially released, got pulled, and then got put back out, and I'm glad it got put back out because it's one of the best releases visually that I've seen of a catalog title all year. So, highly recommend Django. Next up here is a Kino Lorber Studio Classics box set of 3 films, and this is the Carole Lombard Collection Volume 1. There is a Volume 2 already out, and this collects Fast and Loose, Man of the World, and No Man of Her Own. And these are really affordable and really high-quality box sets from Kino Lorber Studio Classics. Kind of no frills when it comes to things like special features or packaging, but you do get a lot for the money that you spend on them, and they are curating a lot of nice box sets with a lot of classic actors and actresses. And then next up is a similar box set to the one I just talked about, and this is the Film Noir Dark Side of Cinema Volume 2 box set from Kino Lorber Studio Classics. There are actually 4 of these currently out, and a 5th one is on the way, so I decided I better catch up before they start going out of stock or out of print, at least these early volumes. And this contains Thunder on the Hill, The Price of Fear, and The Female Animal. Next is a film by Lynn Ramsey, and this is the film You Were Never Really Here, starring Joaquin Phoenix. This was one of my favorite films the year it came out. I can't remember which year it came out, but it's a really fantastic film, and I highly recommend it. I highly recommend Lynn Ramsey's work in general. Ratcatcher is one of her better-known films. It just got a Blu-ray release from Criterion, and I can't wait to get that in the upcoming Criterion sale. And then next up here is The Bad News Bears, put out by Paramount. Paramount has woken up recently and is putting out a bunch of their back catalog titles finally on Blu-ray, and here we have The Bad News Bears. On my podcast, Chasing Labels, we just had a guest on of Justin Beam, who actually worked on the special features for this specific release. So that was really cool to have him on, talking about how he made the special features for this release, as well as a bunch of other releases. So that was really exciting, and I just have always loved this movie. It's kind of a childhood favorite of mine. Of course, starring Walter Matthau, Tatum O'Neal is in the film, and yeah, it's a great comedy in my opinion. Next, we have a Blu-ray to 4K UHD upgrade, and this is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. This has always been a staple favorite of mine. I remember watching this movie for the first time a little bit after it came out, now, over a decade ago, and just being obsessed with it. I just watched it constantly over and over again. I bought the comic books that it was based on. I read those. I even had a mini poster hanging up at one point. But this is the new 4K UHD release of this film. They also had a small theatrical run of the new restoration for people to see in theaters this past summer, for those of you who could. And yeah, it looks absolutely amazing. It's well worth the upgrade if you're a big fan of the film. It looks leaps and bounds better than the Blu-ray, which is now over a decade old. I can't believe that when it comes to Scott Pilgrim. This is, of course, an Edgar Wright film, and Edgar Wright is having a new film coming out very, very soon. Last Night in Soho will be out very, very soon. Then next is a film that I had waited so many years to finally come out on Blu-ray, so I can now not get rid of my old DVD, but at least have this upgraded version. And this is A Place in the Sun, and this is part of the Paramount Presents line. This is number 22. This stars 2 of my all-time favorite actors and actresses of Montgomery Clift as well as Elizabeth Taylor. This is a fantastic film by George Stevens. I'm not a big fan of this cover art here, but I would have preferred the original poster. That would have looked really, really nice, but I'm just glad to have the movie on Blu-ray. The next up is an acquisition that I think is going to surprise a lot of you, and this is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And you're going to be asking yourself, why is it surprising? I've never had this movie in any version in my collection ever. No VHS, no DVD, no Blu-ray, no nothing. This is the first time I've ever owned it. I've, of course, seen this movie many, many times, starring the late, great Gene Wilder, and this is, an all-time classic for a reason. Yeah, there's nothing really one can say that hasn't already been said about it. All I will say is that this 4K UHD looks incredible. And then rounding out this stack is 2 films from Severin. And first up here is The Boys Next Door, a film by Penelope Spheris. Penelope Spheris is probably most well known for doing the trilogy of documentaries A Decline of Western Civilization, as well as doing the first Wayne's World film. And this is a film that is fascinating, especially when it comes to contemporary times where we're seeing a lot of violence when it comes to young people and things like that. This film stars Maxwell Caulfield as well as a young Charlie Sheen. Came out in 1984, and I highly recommend checking this film out. It's really, really good. And then finally here is Andy Warhol presents Blood for Dracula, a film by Paul Morrissey. This is a 4K UHD release from Severin, and this movie is so many things. It's a Dracula film, it's a horror film, it's both funny and horrific, and probably unintentionally in both of those regards. But this stars Udo Kier as Dracula, as you see here on the front, as you see here on the back. I can't quite describe this film to people. You just kind of have to watch it. This is a stacked 3-disc release. The 3rd disc is a CD soundtrack. Severin is doing some really great work right now, so check out their stuff. And I can't wait to get more of their releases. So we've come down to the final group of films here, and we have a Sam Peckinpah film in Major Dundee, starring Charlton Heston and Richard Harris. This is the limited edition Blu-ray release from Arrow Video. This is a really beautiful, beautiful set, just aesthetically and really solid. It's a 2-disc set. You get both the extended version of the film as well as the theatrical version of the film. You get all kinds of special features and behind the scenes and just people talking about the movie, and it's a really interesting Western from Sam Peckinpah, and just kind of what happened with the filmmaking process and how it got taken away from him and all kinds of interesting stuff like that. But I really like this set a lot, and I've delved into it a little bit, but I'd like to dive into it a little bit more, and I may do a review of it at some point. And then next up is another Shout Select release, and I think I bought this during some Amazon Prime week or something, because there wasn't really much to buy, but it's a childhood favorite of mine, and this is the Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito starring Twins on Blu-ray. And this is a film that I watched incessantly as a child, because at the time, Arnold Schwarzenegger really was just doing R-rated action films. So when I was a kid, my parents would only let me watch, non-R-rated stuff, and I just ended up watching Twins over and over again. I don't know why. It was one of the first VHS tapes I ever remember getting as a young child. But now I have the Blu-ray of Twins. This is directed by Ivan Reitman, who I know teamed up with Arnold Schwarzenegger again on Kindergarten Cop a few years after this. And of course, he did the Ghostbusters movies, etc., etc. But yeah, that's Twins. Rounding out everything when it comes to this sale are 2 really, really special and cool releases, and these are both films by Dario Argento, and these are both re-releases from Arrow. They are 4K UHD re-releases. And first up here is Bird with Crystal Plumage, and of course, this is the original artwork coverage. You can buy 2 versions of this set as well as the other one I have here. You could have the new artwork, or you can have this original poster artwork here. And the original poster artwork versions are super limited, so you had to really get them as soon as you possibly could, because once they sold out, they were kind of a pain to get. So this is Bird with Crystal Plumage. And the next one I have here is Cat o' Nine Tails. And I actually already have Cat o' Nine Tails on Blu-ray when it comes to the Arrow version. So this is an upgrade from that. I didn't have Bird with Crystal Plumage at all. So that was a nice get for me. And coming up in late October, which is around now, actually it's probably out already this week, is Deep Red. And I was able to get the original artwork cover of Deep Red as well. So that'll be in the October video when it comes to these haul videos. So that is everything when it comes to the things I got in August and September of 2021. It was quite a few things, more than I once again expected when it comes to these haul videos. But thank you for sticking around, thank you for watching, and if you like these videos, please check out the other videos on my channel, and please subscribe.